my nature name was Lightning.
Lightning!
Lightning. And
if it's okay with you, I'd love to call you Lightning.
You call me Lightning.
Glad it's happening, buddy.
Man, I can't believe it. I've been looking forward to this one for so
Before it was even in the books, I knew it was gonna happen.
Discipline stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills.
Love and light. Welcome to Discipline Stoners Podcast with your host, Ellevan.
And my name is Winny.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness.
And welcome back to another episode of Discipline Stoners.
I'm your host, Ellevan.
My name is Winny, and we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And today,
we have my guy.
Oh boy.
You know when sometimes you just meet someone and you're like, yo, that's my guy, you know? And it's vibes. So we have someone who, it was his first drop in the OCS this week. He's a family man. He's a farmer man. He's a family business. He has some tough family, even that has graced the NHL. He's doing hot drops. His strain right now is blowing up everywhere. And he is, as I said, our guy. Put your hands together for Wallace of Primeau.
What an intro.
Welcome to the show.
Man, I've been looking forward to this pod for a long time. So thank you guys for having me here.
My absolute pleasure. And we're somewhere different today, guys.
Yeah. Look at this. Look at this beautiful background we have.
It's your first time here, but it's also our first time here.
Yeah.
So
well,
like,
not our first time here, but our first time.
No, it's my friend Robert Sachs. He has the MetaMilkyWay, and this is the Sachs Gallery, and it's so cool in here.
And it will not be the last time.
Yeah, we're definitely going to force ourselves in this space more often. But.
So we met just like a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, maybe?
Yeah, it's funny. When we had met, I'm going to give you the light. I'm terrible, eh? I'll pocket
No,
your
you're
light.
good. I'm just going to put some smoke in the air.
We had met actually at the Can Expo. I think it was around like the 23rd of March.
Yes, that's right.
And I was like, talk about being thrown into the fire. We did the Tether Buds thing had going on Sunday at the Can Expo. So they gave me a table. I was able to hand out some samples and stuff to the bud tenders. And I think we're going to light our one up. Yeah. And I just remember you guys came in. It was just like right away fireworks, you know?
Was that your first expo?
That was my first expo.
What?
And that was my first time ever. And the whole weekend it was, it wasn't like it was super packed busy. I mean, it was. I think that was their first time too, the Can Expo.
Yeah, it was the first one. And we were hosting the stage.
Yeah, and that's actually the first time that I saw you guys was up hosting it, and you had the matching green jumpsuits on and stuff too, right? I was going, who are these two? You know, like, and it was just such good energy. And then so the whole weekend it was just going through the vibe of being at an expo for the first time, coming out as Primeau, and then on Sunday we did the Tether Buds, and talk about, like I said, being thrown into the fire. It was like 300 bud tenders came through.
What are Tether Buds?
So Tether is a organization that trying to, I guess, brings all the bud tenders in to sample out new product, get
I
education.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
cool.
So if anyone should see, for next week is Cannabis Wiki in London.
Yeah.
And we've signed up with Tether again to...
Shout out Cannabis Wiki, Jackie
time.
Childs,
We
and
love
Derek. Jessica, I think, is in that. Yeah, cool. Okay, so you're doing that.
So I'm doing that. So I just put together 200 samples of the lava and 200 samples of our dough.
And 200 samples for me.
And 200 samples
that we're going to smoke before you go on this show.
So Tether's, you know, they were really cool. They invited us out for Sunday for the Can Expo, and that's where I met you guys came through. Mm-hmm. And we got that iconic shot where I'm in the back and you guys are, you know.
Yes.
And after that, I think the next time I saw you was at the Blunt Fiction Party on 420.
Got Loud, shout out.
Such a good party.
That was a great party.
Yeah, I really like that one. And, bro, I mean, your energy attracted us. I'm very abundant. Abundant is a big term in my reformation of my ego identity. It's a lot of my mindfulness that we later connected on. Sorry to cut you off in the time steps how we started connecting, but I just wanted to give you some feedback. like the vibe, especially on like Canna Expo, is you embody, I feel, how cannabis should be treated. You care for it personally. You have an intimate connection with it. You're trimming these buds that are hitting the OCS with your family.
Yeah, every single bud that's out there has gone through my hands.
And you share it. And when we saw you at Can Expo, there were a lot of people trying to get you like sign up with the QR code and like just corporate moves. Like it's like I catch that play as soon as because I've been doing those kind of before I went full time with music before the podcast. I did those like trade shows as a promo model.
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
I know all the plays. Like I know all the data collection plays. I was one of the people paid to convince you to do it. And not that, hey, yo, get your audience, bro, track your data. But when it comes to the plant, I not only want to hear the story, like I'm interested in this guy and his big, lovely smile, but I need to try the fucking weed, bro. Like, keep your fucking frisbees and give me some flower to smoke. I want to see what you're about for real. Like as a producer, like, let me hear your beats. You're going to fucking tell me what type of genre your beats are? You're going to play one. Like, and you just give, like, in that loving essence of how weed is really supposed to be given. So I wanted to give you your props publicly for that.
Right. Cannabis has always been it's a social thing, you know, like we'd all get together, smoke, hang out. And so I felt a little bit like a duck out of water when I went to Can Expo because, like I said, it's my first time. I'm more comfortable in the grow room.
You were the real, though. You were the real energy out of all the, I mean, no hate and no shade. And I love some of the other vendors. But you were the one that I was like, that's weed. That's how it's supposed to be treated.
And so I'd love to hear, and I agree with everything Ellevan just said, and also that like, because some people have been grinding it out for a few years, they're a bit, I would say, tired, and
tough.
there's some fear starting to creep in, I think, for people. So, you know, it's easy to kind of say, hey, you're new and you're pumped and you're excited to get into this industry, but what's your history with weed? Where did this all start, and why did you want to get into the legal market?
It's funny because you would think by now I've been ground down to a nub. Like the amount of stuff that I've had to overcome just from launch day. Forget about the application process, but I mean, like our launch day, like we got licensed March 12th, 2021, and since then it's taken me this long to get into my own home province, and like we literally just launched on Monday, so it was a June 5th launch.
Congratulations!
And it was for me it's like a. It's hard to put it into words because I've been chasing it for so long. I've had so many ups and downs. I mean, there's been times where I've been like, what did I get myself into? I feel like I've dug myself into a hole.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you ever want to quit?
I've never gotten to the point where I'm like, I got to just lay down and die. I'm just going to end up cutting stairs out of the earth and getting myself out of the hole. And so there's been a lot of ups and downs. And so when I decided to come out, and my background, I'm a legacy grower. I've had my MMAR since I was 19. So
what's an MMAR?
Marijuana for Medical Access Regulation. So it's the very first medical program for cannabis in Canada. So my family, I've been part of that whole journey of being with medical cannabis, being a legacy grower. That we never really stood up on the mountaintops and said, I've got really good weed. This is, what I do. Like, it's always been kind of a closed doors more thing, right?
Right.
I mean, you get together with your friends and your family, smoke. It's a very good time, but there's also that stigma that existed out there that I never did that. So I felt like a duck out of water going to these expos, and it's like, I'm now here, repping and promoting. Here's my card. Here's my number. Like, come find me, talk to me.
With these cool things that are full of weed. If you're gonna give one of these, put weed in it, okay? And this.
Yeah, don't give this guy any frisbees, okay? Like,
he's very serious about it.
Jerk. When no, this is so good, and I mean, lava cake. No, sorry, keep going.
When did you start growing? So how many years ago?
I'll give you my first plants. My first plants, I was 14.
Okay.
Anybody out there, I'm bound to tell you that, you shouldn't touch cannabis and you shouldn't do anything with cannabis if you're under the age of majority. But this is just speaking from my own personal
We got the disclaimer, baby.
The disclaimer's out there, okay? Like, anybody listen, mom and dad.
Don't come at us.
But from the guy himself.
I started growing at 14, and it's funny, we
so
were
if
just.
you want to be a grower, don't worry about it.
I was kind of reliving the other day, my history with cannabis and growing up with cannabis, and the number one thing when I think about cannabis, the feelings that I get are the same feelings that I get when I think about my mom. Because my whole relationship with cannabis has always been through my mom. That was my first introduction of like, you know, what's mom doing? She was going to the Up and Smoke concert with, you know, Dre and Snoop and Exhibit, and I'm going, Mom, can I come with you? I'm only I'm born in 91, so I'm just a young kid.
You're born in 90. Oh,
Yeah, so
bro.
I'm
Younger than us.
you know, and
You're
so
born in the 90s?
I'm born
Shit,
in the
bro.
90s.
I was almost born in the 90s. I missed it by a week, 89.
Yeah, so for me, I was too young to go to the concerts, but I see moms rolling up, and you know, and
I did a live band cover concert of
No.
the Up and Smoke tour.
Really?
Where I did the Eminem parts from What's the Difference.
I actually saw the clips of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
that's-
was killer.
That's my favorite. For you to bring that up, that's my favorite shit.
Well, that's, you know, that was mom. She was getting ready. She's going out to the concert, and I'm like,
I love your mom. Shout
know,
out mom.
shout out Mama Primo, man, because that I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the relationship I do with Camps, the passion I do for repping Primo's mom's maiden name, and I wanted to just come out and rep her and just, you know, carry on that good feeling that I have. And if someone else gets it smoking my
This is
lava,
your mom's maiden name?
Primo's my mom's family name, so
I love this even more. You constantly go up in my books.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
you know, I just
Smoke weed every
wanted,
day.
yeah. I just wanted to come out, be myself, and rep my family, and that's it. And just be who I am. I
That
didn't
is the
wanna-
most admirable shit to fucking do. Hold it down for the fam. Give your gift to the world. Keep it close to the heart.
The Expo's doing it. It's a scary thing at first for me. I've kind of gotten used to them now.
Yeah.
But at first it's like, because I'm putting myself out there, what if I get rejected? You know, like I take it to heart.
So how did you prepare mentally to potentially? Because every time you step on stage, every time you go to these conferences, every time you go into a business meeting, every time you go outside, there could be a huge risk of failure, and we all have to walk ourselves out of that pre-paralyzing doubt. What are some of the mental processes that you've gone through to prepare yourself to execute?
So I try and practice cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
So I try and stop any thought patterns that could be negative or could interfere with, you know, me coming out and having a good time. I try and stop those things. I try and correct myself and say, you know, and if I look back, it's funny, more exposure that you get, I look back and I think, like, look how many people I've kind of touched and been around, and and the people that I have really touched me, and everything's been so good that all of those fears. I just did Lyft on the weekend. I literally walked into the place like I felt. You go from like being a junior in high school to a senior.
Yes.
That you walk around and it's like, hey, what's going
You're
on?
the
You
cool
just-
kid.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, yeah, the first time was like I needed someone to kind of hold my hand. You know.
No, I feel
You
you.
were the
You're the juice.
infusion of light at Lyft.
Yeah, you were like,
Was it good? Dude, I
Lyft-
feel like you would have been super popular, like your booth.
I didn't get a chance to leave my booth all day.
Yeah.
And in fact, 419 came, and Strictly Hippie on Instagram, Strictly is my friend, so she comes out and I told her, listen, if I'm not out of here, you know, in the next hour, just pull me by my ear, because I literally felt like there was a chain wrapped around my ankle. I couldn't leave the booth because, you know, there's so many people. It's like rows and rows of people coming up to see us, and you know, and then you get into this mode that I went into a time warp. It was like all of a sudden.
I know, isn't that
Yeah.
so interesting?
That happens,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
It's that
really,
whole-
I think that time warp is a example, or a like I don't know what the right word is, but like an example of being in the present moment. Like that's how you
Yeah.
can kind of
Yeah.
like, when you slip up out of that, it's like, whoa, that's really what presence feels like.
I always like the example Albert Einstein used to say, like if you put your hand on the burner for 2 seconds, it feels like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you talk to somebody you really like for 10 minutes, it feels like 2 seconds. It's that
Yes.
whole relativity thing. So
Yes.
I felt that, or else I was like, oh my God, I haven't left. I haven't, you know, gone to the bathroom. I haven't had a drink. It's like, and it's like 4:30, and I'm going like, you know, what has happened this whole day?
fuck.
And it's nice at the end of it because my wife will go like, you know, oh, you know, so tell me about it. And I kind of just have like a catalog. I start from the beginning and I go
Yes.
through it. And by the time I'm going through it minute by minute, I just did it for 4 or 5 hours.
I know.
It's going
the
to take another 4 or
replay.
5 hours to tell you what happened.
Fuck. I'm no good at that. When he asked me what happened, I'm like, I don't know what was said. I can't remember.
He doesn't like to reiterate stories.
I'm in the present. I'm too deep in the present, and I'm dreaming into the future. So when she's like, "What did they say?" I'm like, "You're gonna have to talk to them. I don't know."
Well, it's been coming up
But I
for
was
me.
fully there.
It's been coming up for me lately that I'm like, I just trip out about everyone's individual experience because I really feel like we're all living on our own earth. Like each one of us are just living because we can theorize how, our friends feel or how our loved ones feel and what they go through their day. But like, I go through so much in a day. Like when we're apart, I think you probably don't know like 80% of my day at least, and that's so trippy because then I'm like, that means I don't know 80% of your shit, like, and what went on for you.
And then the 10% I'm straight up lying about. So it's like 90.
You know what? All you got to do is watch the live videos, okay? Because he catches you up on when you're gone. That's when he, all comes out and he does these videos.
Oh my God, that's so true. I don't watch them back. We just had a discussion about this morning. He's like, "Did you watch the live?" I'm like, "No, bro. I'm living my life."
She's like, "I get enough of you. I don't need you're in my ear as soon as I wake up." Dude, so you said your wife. How long have you guys been together?
So we're both from Georgetown, Ontario.
Hey.
Shout out Georgetown.
Shout out to Georgetown. I used to go my grandparents are from Georgetown, my family's from Georgetown. When I came in grade 9 to high school, I went to Christ the King, but only because I had some cousins who were in grade 12 already there, and I was like, again, you're starting off as a junior, you don't know anybody, so I just went wherever the family was going. That's where I went. I ended up getting kicked out of that high school.
We would have been friends.
I was going to say, I had 29 suspensions by the time I was in grade 10. It was, it wasn't working out.
What was it? Class clown shit or fights?
Never fights.
Nice guy.
Maybe one time there was a fight, but it was more like,
Did you sprout yet? Because you're a big boy now.
Yeah, I was, I used
No one
to
wants to fight the big kid.
I was a short, chubby kid who liked video games, that was my whole thing.
Word. We were similar that way.
So
Video games were the best in our age group growing up.
And I was short and fat.
Oh, that was the greatest.
Yeah.
So I get kicked out of Christ the King. I walk down the street to Georgetown District High School, and they're like, "Listen, it's mid-semester. The only course we can really get you in, you can maybe get into these ones, but the only real course you have to take is parenting." And so I was like, "Okay, fuck it, put me in. Let's do it." And so I actually met my wife, grade 11, in parenting class. We're going on 15 years next month.
Oh, man.
Decade and a half club.
Decade and a half.
Did you get together in high school or you just met?
We did.
You did get together.
Oh, they got
High school
together.
sweethearts?
And they
That's
stayed
literally
together.
non-existent anymore.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? She's my first kiss and will be my last kiss, and that's that's
I love that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and we've been smoking weed ever since. Like
I feel you on that. Winnie's pretty much the only person I've consistently had sex with. Like I've been with her since 18. So like, how many things can you really get going efficiently as a young guy?
Yeah.
I just didn't do girlfriends.
you got to keep it fresh.
Oh, man.
That's right, and it's like a new person every 3 years though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like she changes. Like the individual that you loved, her heart and soul is still there, but the ego identity, the human making the rules of their experience is very much fluctuating the whole time. Anyone that says they've been with the same person for 10 years, I'm like, you're not paying attention.
You know what I like telling people? I like that analogy of used to say there's 3 masks people wear. One that everybody, you show to everyone. One you only really show to your close friends. And then there's the one that you really only show to yourself.
Basement Grow Show just talked about that.
No.
The same concept Grower Joe brought up. Yes.
Shout out to Basement, man. They've been with us on Instagram since like day one. They found us on
shout
there,
out.
Sweet peeps, dude.
Yeah.
No, it is interesting. It's so interesting that some things just are too vulnerable to, and that society has sort of molded us in a way, even for those, anarchists, there's some constructs and stuff that we live within based on how we grew up and all of these things. So that's sort of the everyone mask, right? Like, and then when you're alone, you can just be the filthy pieces of shit that we all are.
We are just like an animal.
That's so. You know what's a good example of how interconnected my wife and I are? We're listening to the radio the other day. We're driving, and it's one of those It's not really anti-cannabis ads, but it's one of those ones that is basically an anti-cannabis
Throwing
ad.
shade like
Yeah.
a bitch.
Yeah, and the voice that comes on is this like must have just turned 19, right out of the choir. Like it's such a high-pitched voice, young guy, and he's going, if you smoke cannabis, like basically like he's gonna rat you out if you don't. And we both looked at each other and we were like, Miss Finster, because we used to watch The Recess, this TV show. We both said it at the same time.
You know Recess.
Right? Like,
Oh my God.
it was Randall from Recess. He used to rat out the other kids for having fun, and that
Fucking
was.
dude, no one likes a rat, and you're advertising on behalf of like this system or anti-weed as the rat. Like you're coming clean with that. Like what type of virtue signaling bullshit is that? That's so funny.
And also just like, oh man, these commercials I suppose are a step up from like what everyone got in like the 70s,
Better than Reefer Madness.
but still, like, let's talk about what cannabis doesn't do for a second. And like it doesn't, generally speaking, make people like idiot crazy like alcohol does.
Yeah.
So like I get why there's, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, because a bunch of people started driving drunk when we didn't know and some bad shit happened. Yeah. And then you're like, fuck, like maybe, but like that hasn't really happened. The bad shit hasn't happened yet with cannabis.
The only data you have on weed is it was renamed marijuana to convince privileged whites not to smoke it. Like that's like your whole thing is a backing of a racist campaign. Yeah. Like where's any data points that says it slows you down or anything? Like it's so funny. I don't know.
Well, on top of that, yesterday I did my little Guelph tour because we just launched. I'm like, I got to go
Love
see
that.
all my
Good
local
job.
plugs.
Retail stores.
So right away I hit up Erin, Acton, Georgetown, all the people who are Primeau family. We're in like that farmers market area. So yesterday I decided I'm going to go to Guelph, and I go to Pure downtown. My buddy Jay Monsoon runs the shop, so I went to go see Jay. Next to both sides of his shop, I don't know if you guys have been downtown Guelph. They cut off a portion. They basically cut off a portion of the road, and they build out these little outdoor patios. It's
I
super
love
cool.
Vancouver did that, I think.
Yeah,
Cool.
Guelph does it really cool. So he's got a pub on his right, a pub on his left. They both have these beautiful patios where you can go and sit out and everything. And he's got this space in between that's been walled off.
What?
And I'm like, man, why aren't you doing something with this space? Like, you should be putting out some chairs, like a tent, like.
And you can smoke a joint out front of the shop.
No, the city won't let us because it's cannabis. Even though we're, they've given us the permits to run the stores, they won't allow anything for outside. I'm going like, you got products now like Sheesh Soda, right? Like shout out to Matt.
Hey,
right?
Chuck Norris.
And I'm like, there's all these cannabis beverages now.
There you go.
That's
There's
what
your
consumption.
answer.
That's why
Yeah.
I think a bunch of consumption lounges are going to pop up pretty
There's your
quickly,
answer.
and it'll be beverages and edibles that
Yeah.
you can consume in the space.
Can you do me a
Can't
favor?
be smoke yet
Can you explain this?
or ever. Oh yeah, let's talk about what you got on the
explain
market. That's absolutely
Your
yes.
fire and why it's so good. Like, do you meditate with it? Because the love, you can feel the love.
These moms have been with me for, quite a while. I've got such a respect for my lava cake.
So do we.
And I'll give you what I'll do?
So do we.
So does everyone.
I'll go into booth mode right now.
Go.
So when
Yeah,
someone comes up
yes.
and go, hi, how's it going? This is my lava cake. I usually have my 2 little smelling jars that I can get everybody to take a look and smell and interact with that flavor. And I tell them, my lava cake is a grape pie, thin mint cookie cross, Canorado genetic.
It's grape pie.
Grape pie.
That's why it's so fucking
Crossed
good.
with the thin mint cookie. And that grape pie is such a rock hard bud that it transitioned over to the pheno of the lava that
It's
we
making
have.
me rock hard, bud.
It's making you rock. So, and then I go into, we have 2.2% terps, carefully dominant. And I like telling people about the terps because when I was at Can Expo, the other person I really met there was a few people that really changed how I interact with people and how I understand Primeau, actually. Hi Ladies podcast was one.
Shout out Hi Ladies.
Love the Hi Ladies. Onel from Officially Cannabis Related is another one. One of the guys that I met, though, was running the MCQ booth, Kyle. And we just hit it off because my background on Métis, so I went right over
Yes.
and MCQ, right on. I love seeing an indigenous, presence at these shows.
Yes.
And we hit it off. He was such a good guy that he got back into Toronto, I guess, after doing a tour with them. He's like, I'm having a small little birthday party at a Japanese karaoke bar at Sherbourne and Front Street.
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, cool, man.
I know that spot.
Yeah, I was like, okay, cool. I'll come out and hang with you. And he just dropped so much knowledge on me about, like, talk about somebody who knows their stuff about terpenes. He's like, it's like aromatherapy. Like, that is what guides the high that you're actually getting. It's not the THC. It's the combination of terpenes that you experience. So
Yes, exactly. It's the entourage effect.
yeah, so my lava cake, it's carefully dominant, so it's very soothing.
I feel soothed.
You feel
So
Is that what we
caryophyllene,
smoked?
what is the
Is this
flavor?
lava?
so that's the lava there.
What's the
yeah.
flavor note of caryophyllene?
It's got a bit of an earthy, peppery
Yeah,
taste
like
to
a
it.
pepper.
Some people get chocolate notes, red wine notes. I mean, what I tell
like
everybody is
that. It's unctuous, it's savory.
I don't really like telling people what it smells like because everyone's red is different. You know, like, and I like actually, it's funny, speaking of the briefcase for Pulp Fiction, the reason I got is
love how
Got
you
Loud.
do that.
Got Loud was doing this blunt fiction party. It was like a Pulp Fiction theme.
It was the best 420 party.
It was awesome. So I wanted to go the extra step. I got the briefcase. I hooked up the lights in it. So when you open it up, it glows just like Pulp Fiction.
Fuck yeah.
And why I don't really like telling people about the, you know, what they're going to smell or what they're going to feel is the same thing Quentin Tarantino did with that film. You never know what's inside that briefcase because then it becomes your own thing about what was in it. And I like to hear back from people what they experienced rather than me set a seed in their mind that this is what you're going to experience. I like to hear someone say, oh, it tastes like, you know, chocolate, coffee, wine. And you kind of go from there and go, okay, you know, like right on. I really like that.
That's really cool. I haven't actually heard that like perspective in the legal market. Like I feel like you know, brands coming out the gate in the last couple of years, they've really pushed like education.
Yeah, they tell you
Everyone's
how
pushing
you feel.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah. And which
familiar.
but I think there definitely is a lane for that for sure, and I think it's important in legalization. It just might be a little too early. Like you're right. Like let's involve the consumer with the like evolvement of the industry, you know, and of the plant itself. And so if you start getting feedback like that, then I think that's just more and more powerful for your own data.
Absolutely. You know, and so that was my thing with the lava cake. I ran with it for a few years as a legacy grower. Health Canada allowed me to bring it in with a whole bunch of
It's
new
so
genetics, which was nice because at the time it was a bottleneck of genetics. Like everybody's growing pink kush, everybody's growing the same type
I
of stuff.
spread the word about it.
Yeah.
You know, like all those pre-rolls you gave me? I, like people come over and I'm like, try this. And they're like, and we'll be talking and they'll be smoking. And then they'll be like, that, our buddy the other day, our neighbor came through and just gave him a couple. And he's like, that lava cake got me all lavy.
Oh, that's so good. I
Like,
love that.
it's so
I
nice.
love that.
I love that.
Okay, no, I have a question because I didn't know up until this recently, I guess maybe in Lyft, that like seeds are a big deal.
Yes, they're a big deal.
Big money.
I feel silly saying
Yeah.
that because it seems well known, but I didn't know because I don't grow and I'm not educated at all in that sector. But so what? Yeah, what's the like?
Walk you through the
Yeah,
process.
please. I'd love to hear that.
So when I was growing up, my uncle was basically Richie Rich, who ran the Ontario Seed Banks, the first seed bank in all of North America. He's in High Times magazine.
Whoa!
Richie took me under his wing when I was younger, and you know I wouldn't be here as much as with my mom. It's also Richie. I wouldn't be here without him. So
Shout out Richie,
Shout
your
out
mom.
to Richie Rich, and Richie ran the seed bank. So I used to get my beans from Rich and pop them out, flour them, and I'd be like, wow. For example, we had one called the Crinkle, which used to be some old biker strain from up at like Musselman Lake, Northern Ontario. Somebody found, and somehow someone went, that's the cool stuff. Richie got it. I got it. I grew it out, and I'm like, wow, this 4 out of 50 plants is just doing so well. This one here switched its sex on us and seeded the rest of the lot because it has to be a female plant, right? Like if it has any male pollen, it's going to just seed out your chronic. So I was like, what's going on? I didn't realize, just being a novice grower, that if you go from seeds, you're never going to get consistency because each one is its own phenotype. It's like, for example, my brother Cam, he's got blonde hair and blue eyes. I've got no hair and hazel eyes. We come from the same. We come from the same
Yeah.
parents.
Different
so
seeds.
it's different phenotypes. You're not the same as your sister, even though you come from the same cloth, right?
yeah,
you
the
gotta
DNA
clone.
is different.
So you gotta clone. So you gotta pop your seeds.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize
find
that's
which
why
ones
you
are
clone.
stable, and then clone off of that mother plant.
Wow.
All of the little propagated cuttings that you take are now going to be relatively similar. I mean, they've taken one step further with plant tissue culture, which I think is the way to go. But it's basically identical plants. They all grow the same height. They all finish at the same time. And then that's why I'm able to produce 45 kilos of really good chronic that's all the same. It's consistent.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you're going to get some buds that are purple and some buds that are brown and green. And it really depends on the flavonoids and just the phenotypic traits of the plants.
Okay, so then question, when you clone and they grow, do all the plants have the same ones at the top that are at the bottom?
Like the colas? No,
Yeah.
they get more light at the top, so they get bigger.
No, I
So
know.
you gotta bend them down
So
with that mesh.
normally what I'll do is, let's say, actually, I can walk you through this process because I'm just doing this process.
Yes,
I
man.
literally was doing cuttings
Grower
today.
porn. Give us all
All
the
right.
grower porn you can.
So we just popped a whole bunch of new beans. We're doing a new pheno hunt.
Sounds sexual.
And when I do pheno hunts,
I popped a bean, bud.
I popped some beans. So, you know, part of my ebonics, I
love
popped
it.
a bean. What I want to do now is, let's say I got 15 new strains that I'm doing, and I pop 4 seeds of each strain. So at that point now, I've got 60 different plants that I'm going to grow out. Each one will be different from the other, even within the own strain. I'll let them grow out to a point where I could take cuttings off of them, take those cuttings, propagate them, get some roots, put them into veg, put them into flowering. And I'll match, this cutting came from this mum. And so what I'll do is I'll flower out the cuttings, and based on what results I find in the flowering room, if I go, you know what, cutting A from peanut butter breath didn't work out, cutting B did, I'll get rid of the mum of cutting A because she didn't make the cut.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, Mom.
You gotta kill your baby sometime.
It's
That's
a
it.
million heartbreaks, but
Aw.
you know, it leads to the one, right? You find that one mom that's stable, consistently puts out good product, has all those phenotypic traits you go for, which for me is, I'm all about the terps. So I like finding things that are terps. I like cherry cola, coffee
Yes.
flavors. So I'll go through that, and then once I go, okay, this is my mum, I'll get rid of the rest that I don't need, and then that mum is treated very nicely for the rest of its entire life, and we take cuttings off of it and just go.
And you don't use pesticides or anything.
No, so I use plant products out in Ancaster, Ontario. They send me beneficial insects, beneficial funguses.
Nature.
I'm environmental science at York University.
Let's
that was
go.
my background. So
Nice.
So
I-
how could you trespass what you know?
I couldn't, and you know what? Like reading all these horror stories about farmers getting diseases and cancers and everything. Like,
Fuck those chemicals.
and so I just thought to myself, you know what? I can't. My one passion is sustainability. My other passion is cannabis, and I didn't want to have to lose one to get the other. So
That's beautiful, man. You're doing a good balance of head and heart thinking. That's a beautiful flow you got.
like our flowering room, I run it on geothermal. I recycle all of our cocoa.
Can you explain geothermal for folks
Sure.
who may be new?
Yeah, so geothermal heating and cooling is basically using the ground as my heating and cooling source. So I have a well that goes down 100 feet down into the Aramosa aquifer.
cold.
Yeah, actually, where our water comes from is where Nestle's water plant is, like 10 minutes down the road. So if you get a Nestle bottle of water, it comes from my neighborhood, and that's what my cannabis is grown with.
Oh,
So
let's go.
Our flow rate is like 100 gallons a minute. It's ice cold. It comes out at like 12, 11 degrees Celsius. It runs up into, I have 3 different geothermal units. Really, I could have used one, but I thought in the event that one fails, because I've had mechanical failures before, then, I've got 2 others that can keep the room going while I fix it. So we broke them into
Wow.
3 units.
You chill the room with water that's already cold from the ground.
Yep.
Wow.
Cools my room. So I got 78 1,000 watt lights. That's 78,000 watts of heat. And if you convert watts to BTUs, I think it's like 1 watt is 3.42 BTUs. So
Hot as fuck.
it's hot. Layman's term, it's hot as fuck.
But like
right?
it puts it together with the earthy vibe of, say, like even Jamaica, that like rainforesty, rich, dense. Like you understand how that heat benefits those plants going.
It does.
Through
I
their
like to keep
photosynthesis.
my flowering room feeling like a warm Mediterranean night, where you could really be in there without a shirt. You could be in there in your
Yeah.
shorts.
I
It's-
would be.
It's nice, like you're chilled out. You're not too cold, not too hot, and it depends on the flowering stage. Because at the end, I freeze them out. I'll
You freeze them out?
I freeze out my plants. Like, this is a little tip anybody wants to know. Like, at the end of its life cycle, I'll turn off the lights for about 48 hours and I'll run them on cold. And that's how, if you look at in nature, why do trees change colors? It's because of the cold, right? So it's the same thing with cannabis.
So you push the nutrients to the edge like that.
So what I do actually,
they're sweeter. Like fall leaves smell sweeter.
it does. And what happens though also is it's a natural finishing cycle. So my 2 strains, the lava cake and the dough, are both 11 weekers.
11?
The 11 weekers, yeah, so 11. So at week 6, I cut them off all food. They get nothing but the water from this Hermosa aquifer, flush them out every single day, and as they start drawing from their own leaves to support their systems,
Oh my God.
and then I freeze them out also, I get nice pinks and purple hues that are natural and not PGRs, plant growth regulators. Like, people will add purples and pinks and stuff to try and, enhance the look of the bud.
There's syrups, there's Kool-Aids for weed.
There's Kool-Aids for weed. Like,
Whoa, I didn't know that.
so I try and keep.
That is so fucking
I keep
cool.
it as environmentally natural as I can get, and so that means I don't like pesticides. I like beneficial insects. I like funguses that.
What
do their
drove you to
things.
care about? Because you said you have a degree, York University, with
Yeah.
environmental sciences. You said
Environmental sciences, yeah.
So like, why were you passionate? You have to be passionate about that before you get educated about it. What was the driving force behind that? Do you say your background is Métis? Did you scoop some game from?
Oh yeah, I'm a very spiritual person.
Yeah.
And when I talk about spiritual, I mean like, I believe that the trees have a spirit, the rocks have a spirit. I'm very into sacred medicines. Like sage and sweetgrass and tobacco and cedar. I'm into the 4 directions. Like, I try and learn as much as I can from my elders. And so I don't know if it was one of those things that I just inherited through my childhood, but when I was in grade 11, here we go. It's going to be a common theme. It's going to be a common theme here. When I was in grade 11, I did the Bronte Creek Project. Was a project that Halton District School Board was running at the time, and it's basically a nature school. You would go to this area that's, talking about classroom beyond borders. You'd be out in the woods, and it would be identifying trees and learning sustainability. And so at that time, I started realizing that, there's a lot of things that are happening in our world that are not sustainable. And you get into the time what Al Gore was coming out with global warming, and so there was all these things that kind of I got introduced. My nature, we all had nature names, So my nature name was Lightning.
Lightning.
Oh.
Lightning. And
If it's okay with you, I'd love to call you Lightning.
you call me Lightning.
Yes!
All my old nature school friends, we all were, there was.
So it's gonna be Lightning.
You were given
Premium
that?
Cannabis.
Yeah, we got to pick our own names. And so not only did we pick our names, but I just thought, I almost meant it as enlightening, but it had to be something in nature. And so I just thought, I'll just do Lightning because I like to just
But you're
create a
in
flash.
Lightning. Yeah. You do create a flash.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had my background in environmental school. I think I was the first student in high school that ever got the environmental high skills major. It was you had to finish up a university program that was environmental sustainability related, and you had to have a job. And so the job that I had, I was like 16 years old. I was working doing water box repairs, which if you know what a water box is, the front of your house, there's a little thing that comes up in the grass. It's a little circular thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little pipe inside, goes all the way down to a thing that shuts the water off to your house in case there's ever a flood or something. You have to have a municipality shut off. And so my job was to go around with a hydrovac truck. It was a no-dig truck, suck up the dirt to like 15 feet below the ground and replace this stupid little cotter pin that the developers had put in, but they didn't want to pay, the developers, they like to cheap out. So they didn't galvanize this pin. And so that then created Ron Crane at the time. He was
What the
70
fuck?
something. I
At
used to do things with him.
16?
16, so I had to get
You're
so many
doing
hours.
This, like important shit. I was a busboy at 16. If I dropped a plate, it was over.
I was operating the hydrovac truck, and
Jesus.
and so I used to fix those things, and it used to just click with me that why are we spending all they were paying them a lot of money to do these things,
Right.
And
no, that's good business.
why are we doing this? It's not sustainable if all it is a stupid little cotter pin that holds the rod in place. So if you turn it, it doesn't just keep turning. It's been stripped. And so I used to think why are they cheaping out on this stuff? It doesn't make sense. Now I got to dig everything up and.
Okay. So
That's
when
fucking
you
cool,
say
man.
When you say, like, I got this environmental program and I had this job, that doesn't really align with me when you say I got like 29 suspensions and kicked out of school. What is going
You're
on?
a genius, but not challenged in the right way, so you fuck around.
I don't know. And the funny thing is my wife's a school teacher. But I had so many battles in my life with school teachers, and I just feel like I can't do classrooms within borders. I have a hard time. It was a big thing even
We're
at
so
university.
the same like that.
I learn more just being out beyond borders. There's so much to learn, and I think by doing it in borders, some of the teachers themselves lose that passion and drive.
Sure.
Yeah, 'cause
And that
they're
not
disconnected
reaching
from flow.
They're disconnected and they're not reaching the younger generation. They think, well, who the fuck are you? You don't even care about me. So, that was my whole thing.
It's hard not to become defensive no matter what the relationship, even if you're the superior.
I wouldn't even graduate if it wasn't for my wife. At the time, she was like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing your homework? Why aren't you? So her and her friends.
Study, kissy, kissy.
Yeah. So that was the whole thing. That she helped me graduate.
Oh.
And, that she was doing University of Toronto for political science. I was going up to York for environmental studies. And, we managed to stay through that whole period of that.
The 20s. That's impressive.
Wow.
That's very impressive. Through school and shit. Very nice. Congrats.
That's huge, man. Congratulations. That's
When did you
beautiful.
get married?
Katia, right? Is that?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I got one of those Gene Simmons things where, like we're married without being married for 15 years.
Yeah.
Which, like.
We know that.
We absolutely 100% know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, when did you get married? I'm like, when I was 16 and I fell in love and that was it,
Yeah, I know.
I'm done for life,
Yeah.
And plus I was just a little bit of an anarchist too. Like, what do I need a piece of paper written down to tell us we're together? Like,
Fucking
Yeah.
right, dude.
Yeah, you guys definitely would have been friends in high school.
So many parallels.
smoker's pit.
And I wouldn't have. I've been like those fucking guys.
Yeah, no, we would have been the homies for sure. Winnie wouldn't have talked to us. Winnie had to grow into trusting us and being
Yeah.
okay with coloring outside the lines. But, on that note, it takes a special balance of giving yourself a disciplined, hey, disciplined stoner you are, a disciplined demand, creating your own structure, or else it's just chaos. So, we like to color outside the lines, but we're still coloring. Like we have a vision. It's like just because it's like whatever the fuck you gave me and you said I had to make this image. No, I want to make this image. So exactly. For kids like us, I always mourn the school system. Like not a good teacher and not education, but the school system often fails kids like us who got a special genius who want to express in a way that's not acceptable. It's like, ooh, and teachers are in a weird position because they can't fucking go ahead and write their own non-approved curriculum. And, so it's like weird shit's going on.
Well, it's like you said, the whole school system is to put you into this box of
it's
conformity.
indoctrinating you to society, yeah.
And, like I always grew up with, I knew about the residential schools and the impacts that have had. And it's like, so I had a hard time conforming into the box because I used to think like, you forced this conformity on, my family back in the day. And it's like, now what? Like I'm supposed to sit here in school and again.
believe you and trust you as well?
Yeah, you know what I mean? So yeah, I had a bit of a hard time with that, but you grow past these things too, like at the end of the day, I started realizing that university opened my mind to critical thinking and taking on other people's, like we were talking about earlier, like my perspective is different from yours. And the only way that I can kind of grow my own understanding of the world around us, where it's such an interconnected thing, is to just talk and listen to each other.
Yes, share stories. That's how we learn.
Yeah.
You can, there's this book I like to read on here often called The Art of Living. And it's like the art of teaching the art of reading. Hold for the plane.
I like it.
Yeah, it's the art of reading.
It's nice with the background, eh? It's like,
Oh, dude, this is gonna look so good. It's gonna be the best looking one, yeah. The art of reading is like, you can start at the top of like hundreds of lives lived, all the way through with their wisdom in a book. And if you listen to their stories effectively, or if you get game from a community or family member or culture, like, you can take things further. You can carry on as opposed to have to start from scratch. And we're all gonna learn our own lessons anyway, but yeah, there's huge power in that, man. That's beautiful.
I just got nice and high.
It just hit me too.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the relaxation down the neck, shoulders, everything.
The lava cake. That's what we be smoking, right? That's what these pre-rolls
That's
are?
the lava cake. You know, it's funny. I did one of those live Instagram videos the other day. I have no clue what I'm doing when I do them.
I'm so glad that you're doing them.
And Elle came on, and it was just like, I don't know what happened, but we left this plane.
Yeah.
We were on a whole different plane altogether, you know?
Yeah.
Like, talk about zoning out. Like, we were just talking about so much stuff, like spirituality and life, that it just, you know, I was super stoked to come on here today. Like I said, this was my big thing where I was, I've never done a pod like this, you know?
Yeah.
So
Welcome, bro.
What are you? Is there
Welcome to the
something?
medium to big leagues.
Is there something that you're currently working on spiritually that you kind of have in the back pocket, working on, figuring
Yeah,
out, exploring?
yeah, there's a few things. I mean, some of them I wish I could go into greater detail, but it would take forever to go into.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a personal question.
Yeah, it's a very good question though, because like I said, I'm very connected. Well, I'll just put it this way: I'm very connected with the trees on my property. You know, like I look at some of the 200-year-old maples, and not only do I think like it's such an old spirit in this tree that's provided so much life all around it, but then I like to think like where my family was when this tree was just a little sapling, you know, and everything that this tree has seen. And so without going into too much spirituality, like I'm very connected with
I love that.
with what's around me in my biota, you know, like everything. So I'm big into farming and gardening, right? So I'm always out. I'm surrounded by nature all the time.
Yeah, there's a special connection when you listen to the pace of nature. Trees help ground me. They're larger than us. They've been here for longer. There's a deep do you know the concept of the Tao?
No.
It's like essentially what Buddhists subscribe to, and it's like time and space before time and space. Like the black matter, say the light matter is what is manifest, and the black matter is what is yet to manifest, like pre-thought, like all of like the Tao, just to be one with what is essentially in the deepest sense, in the most rooted sense of being with acceptance. Essentially, all of the wisdom leads to that, but a tree seems to be the physical manifestation of that essence for me. When I hug a tree or I take off my shoes and you ground yourself. We saw Deepak Chopra, and he said that that's what he does as soon as he gets off the plane. And I was like, okay, if he does it, I'm doing it. So, you know, you can feel like the deep, like you can almost connect to the Akashic records, it feels. You know what I mean? There's something in the earth that sends a signal to a tree that it just like is so
Any chance I tell my daughter, go and put your hand on the tree and just stop for 60 seconds. You know, kids, 60 seconds is like 60 minutes, right? So I'm not going to punish her and be like, take 5 minutes, because she would just die. But I would tell her, go put your hand on the tree and just close your eyes and just sit there for a minute, you know, 60 seconds, and just breathe. And so
You're teaching her how to meditate.
Well, you know, yeah, it's I guess it's a meditation. Yeah, I guess, you know, like I like writing journals, sitting in nature.
Do you meditate?
I meditate, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I try and meditate. Well, that's that whole cognitive behavioral therapy. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Being able to tune everything off, because I've got a bad habit where I'm a workaholic. I'll work, and then I'll come home and I'll think about work, and it goes hand in hand with being a business owner too. But yeah, I'm a bit of a workaholic, so
I've really been trying to force myself to put that phone down and stop making assets and shit while I'm fucking watching movies into the night. Like,
it's easy.
You haven't
it's
been
easy to do that.
successful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just to remind you, you haven't been that successful.
I've been killing
It's
it.
nice.
You're welcome.
Yeah, okay.
It's nice to hear you're working on it, though.
Step by step.
Well, it's one of those things that, you know, you can fall into that rabbit hole so easily. And, you know, I got to the point where I'm working all day, I'm talking about it all night, and then I'm dreaming about it too. And so you have to be able to have a way to just tune it off.
You got to let it go.
You have to let it go.
Also, all of this momentum that you've put behind it, and we feel the same about the podcast. It's cool. We're like in a bubbling stage where it's like, oh, things are starting to manifest, and that's exciting because I've been holding it in mental space for so long that it's making its way to physical matter. Like, you're here, like you're like from like doing this in Legacy, and now like this is on, you know, this is on the OCS, and you're on Discipline Stoners. Like, these things are like winking, saying, good job, nice focus, it's working.
You know what? I've just been doing what my mom's been telling me, just put it in the light. You know, just put it in the light and just, you know, you're worth it. It's unlimited abundance out there. Just don't limit yourself. Don't ever feel ground down that it's like, you know, I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve this. And, you know, just put it in the light. Just stay positive. That's that whole cognitive behavioral theory. For me, it went hand in hand. I'm able to go, you know what? They're not going to reject me, you know, like I'm just going to stay positive. I'm going to meet good people. It's just going to be good vibes, and just putting that all out there and trying to just be myself at the same time.
Happens.
You really do, man. You shine. You're shining out there. Honestly, I said it the other day. Like, I just think I can feel it. You can feel it from you. It's just like, I just think it's going to blow up.
It is.
I think, like, you're so much heart that people are craving in this industry.
People need that personality.
Yeah.
You guys going to make me blush.
Good, you should. Bro, it's bring it to the light with lightning.
That's
of
it.
Primeau. That's the title. I just wrote it in my head.
Keep it with lightning, man. Like, so.
Bring it in the light.
It's been a lot, but you know, you popped on the other day. I said I feel honestly like a kid you ever do those lazy rivers at the water park where you're just lounging.
Oh yeah.
And wherever you go is where you go, and you know, like I'm gonna end up to where I'm supposed to be. That's honestly how I feel. Is I just feel like I'm just floating down the lazy river and I'm surrendered. And
love it.
Ellevan said something to me at Lyft, because I seen you guys right there at the end of the day. I turned the corner. I'm about to leave the booth for the first time, and who do I see?
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I said the night before I was having dreams. Like I said, I dream about work and stuff. And you guys popped into my dream on Thursday night before we went to the Lyft. And I swear to God, I knew I was going to see you. And I turned the corner for the first time, and all I see is just huge smiles and hearts coming down the laneway. And I just was like, I can't believe it.
We're coming to find you, man.
Man, but you said something to me that I really didn't even think about it. Just going through the motions, and sometimes it's hard to put stuff into words and, like, you know, give myself at least, I don't know, definitions in my head. I just said, I honestly feel like I'm just surrendering to whatever the universe has got for me is what I'm doing. And you know what you said? So you've discovered faith. And
yes,
I just was thinking to myself, you know, I guess so. Like, I'm just floating down the river. Wherever I end up is where I'm supposed to be. I want good vibes, keep it in the light, and just positivity. That's my whole thing right now. It's just positive.
God said that
Let's
to
go.
you through me. I don't even remember saying that. I was on mushrooms that day a little bit.
He was dropping knowledge on boomers.
It was such a beautiful moment too, where you just said it, and I remember where you just like eye contact. It's like, yeah, because you are so fully, successfully living in faith, and like that's the magic of working with the universe, is taking that step forward, and then knowing that some magical ground is going to form under you as you land to hold you steady to work towards your vision. Characters will come in your life, opportunities will come. Damn. Sometimes you get inspired to do a bunch of hard work, and that's the chapter you're currently supposed to fulfill. But as long as you keep listening and like moving in belief, something cool is going to happen.
Something's cool.
I don't know if it's what you're wishing for, but something cool will happen.
You know, my mom even said to me, and this resonated with me too, that sometimes in life, things aren't going to work out because they're going to lead you to the thing that does work out.
Come on.
You know, and so even if at the end of the day, you know, I'm putting it all out there that, you know, Primeau, it's going to blow, it's going to do great, and because that's how I'm just keeping it with. But even in the event that it doesn't, look at it, I got to meet such cool people. I got to, you know, vibe with everybody. I've made so many contacts. My life's quality has gone up, you know, and so no matter what happens, it's going to lead me to where I'm supposed to be.
Quality of life.
Shout out your mom.
Yeah, seriously.
She, we want to have her on the podcast.
What is her name? Are you okay saying her name?
Yeah, my mom's Brenda.
Brenda.
Shout out Brenda.
Brenda had a baby, and it's a beautiful one. Yeah. And thank you for putting this one on earth. Wow, Brenda.
We're sure your other kids are great too.
Yeah,
Do you have brothers?
Right. I've got an older brother.
Are those the hockey players?
So my mom's second cousins are Wayne and Keith. Primo from the Montreal Canadiens.
And aren't they tough guys?
Pretty tough, you know.
Like, that sounds like the fucking Bash Bros from Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, there was a.
Like, that's the vibe I got off. Some of the hockey fans in the comments when we were live streaming were like, "Oh, Primo boys," and I was like, "That's a reputation you can't fake."
Yeah, you know what? It's funny when we got our nutrient barrels. I ordered them out from Kingston, and when they showed up, right on the barrel it says, "Attention to Keith Primo," right? And I started laughing because I was thinking, "Oh my gosh, you know, it's a small community." Like,
That's so funny.
my European ancestors, like the Primo family, they've been here since like 1695. Like, they've
Whoa.
been, yeah, like we're talking about like at least 9 generations. And even on my you know, my mom's father's side, the McDonald side, so I take my mom's name, you know, and
That's so nice.
yeah, you know, the McDonald's have been here, the 5 generations of farming out in Cornwall. The family farm always went to the firstborn son.
Right, so you're a farmer originally, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
That's
I was-
why we rocked our overalls today in respect to the farming.
Nobody sent me the notice, or I would have. I got changed and all dolled up to come out.
No,
I could have just worn what I was wearing at the
You
John
look
Deere
perfect.
dealership.
Nah, you should be repping. You should be repping.
Yeah, so I come from a farming background. I was born and raised in Wingham, Ontario, a little tiny town out in nowhere. Grew up in Mount Forest. You know, like I said, my family's been farming in Cornwall forever. My grandparents were on the cheese and butter board. You know, in
What?
Cornwall. Yeah, but
Cheese
while
and butter board?
while all this has been going on,
I'd love a cheese and butter board.
cannabis pairs really nice with cheese and butter, and so cannabis has always been around.
Oh,
It's
word.
always been around. So it's one of those things that it's funny. I was talking to O'Neill from Cannabis Related. He was like, "When's the first time you interacted with cannabis? Like, you realized it?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? It's one of those things that I've always known the smell. And it's always been like, you know, the farmers, they like drinking, right? They like, at the end of the day, they put their tobacco spit in and they're drinking and doing their thing. And it was the same thing with cannabis. It's just, they weren't handing that cannabis out to kids, just like they weren't letting the kids drink their Molson's Canadian or whatever they were drinking. But yeah, cannabis has always been a part of my life. It's been a part of my family. It's, you know, I must have
beautiful.
more. I must have more cannabinoid receptors in my body than the average person. I don't know.
It's so good that you have such a healthy relationship with it. It really comes through, and you're really on time for the normalization, not just the acceptance or the allowance of cannabis, but the normalization of it. And like for you just to have that deep family story and like for it to feel and represent your mom, that's such a luxury, and sharing that perspective really helps move things in a good direction. Because I came from like my dad sneak smoking it in the bathroom, and my mom, you know, being overseas with cocaine and champagne and that being okay, and then like my dad is like judged for smoking pot, chilling out when he gets home after work. Like, that's so bizarre how harsh it was condemned, and fucking go figure, a bunch of passive stoners are like accepted it, like okay, but it's like no, bitch, this is like a total like beautiful, normal, flowy part of life, and yeah, the more we accept the normalization of it, the better. So thank you for sharing those vibes.
It's that moment when, like, when you say, like, oh, I got way too drunk last night, and everyone's cool with that. Everyone has, like, accepted that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, that's crazy.
Yeah, great.
That-
You blacked out. Like,
But that moment when you're like, I got way too high last night, and then everyone's like, yeah, whoa,
Yeah.
crazy, you know? Like, that'll be the moment where it's, like, normalized, I feel.
when the stigma is gone.
Do you ever get way too high?
Oh, I get stupid high. You know what?
But it's not way too high.
I've gotten too
Oh,
high.
I've gotten way too high. I've gotten way too high. You know,
Yeah.
when my wife got pregnant with my daughter, I was like 24, and I was
Wow,
like,
you're so mature.
I was smoking
Yeah.
a pound a month. Literally, that's what I used to smoke, and I was bonging it all day. I used to change the bong water, brush my teeth at the same time.
Wow.
You know, and I used to do, well, like I said, I was doing university, and I was talking with these professors. I used to think to myself, like, I wonder if they know how high I am right now. But when we had my daughter, I'm like, okay, I can't keep this up, you know, like, so I quit smoking cold turkey.
Whoa.
And I went for like 2 years of just finding who I am without cannabis. And I found out I was, you know, I like myself with cannabis better.
Yep.
But, you know, I thought I'm going to get back to it. So I found my old bong that's been, you know,
That is the most
tucked away.
healthiest shit. That's exactly in the description of what's a disciplined stoner. Someone who can keep a pulse on the relationship with the plant. Sometimes you
That's
can
it.
put it down.
It's hard to put it down, believe me. But I found my old bong, and I'm like, okay, kids are asleep. My wife's asleep. I sneak out to the garage. I do my thing. I smoke. And I knew I had like T-minus 5 minutes to get my water, my munchies, and get where I needed to go because... And I put this movie on called The Comedian with Robert De Niro as a stand-up comedian.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
all weird
I know
movies
that.
that
Oh, yeah.
Of all the weird movies I watched, that's the one I watched. And I
That was
swear
a
to
weird
God,
movie.
it was as long as Lord of the Rings.
I think I turned it off.
Totally. It is very long.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I must have watched like the Fellowship of the Ring. It was like three some
The whole
hours.
trilogy.
And I got so high, I felt like someone's brushing the side of my face. Like, I don't recommend if you're gonna get back on, smoke a joint. And
Yeah, you
build
ripped
it up.
a bowl.
Man, that's like you seen Jesse, right?
Blast
Jesse
off.
did this video where he smoked. He didn't ever smoke flower. He smokes the dough for the first time, and he smokes it of a bong and he shotgunned it. And I thought you're braver than I am, man, because I wouldn't even bong it right
Jesse
now.
Paul?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Sweetheart.
Yeah. I know. That was fun.
Yo, so tell us about the dough.
Okay, so the dough. Yeah, I got into the lava. The dough's got a real special place for me. So
Really, dough?
I like the dough.
it does. But the reason
We
why
got Puff Mama fucking high on
I
the dough.
saw that. That was something that I put on my belt. Like even when I went to Niagara Falls and we did the expo out there,
It fucked her up.
and Afro Man was there, and I was like, I've been
Afro
listening to
Man
Afro
legend.
Man. I've been listening to Afro
That's
Man since I
crazy.
was like 14,
Dum.
growing weed.
Dum.
Yeah, it was so good. Ooh. Da, 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 da. Yeah, he's so good. So I was up on a panel doing my thing. They invited me up to talk about craft versus commercial. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my first panel. So I went up and decided, I'll just be myself, and it was great. By the time I got off out the panel, though, this lineup had formed to see Afro Man, and it was like so far up. But I got to go backstage because I'm like, you know what? Fuck, I've got my stuff. I'm gonna go out and go see him. So I went, and I got this video of him cracking open the dough, and he didn't want to give the jar back. He was like, he's so cool too how he smells. He starts like doing this shoulder roll, like, normal person would just smell it, right? No,
he's vibing.
He's vibing, and he was like, yes, this is it. So the dough's got a real special place. Puff Mama, that was another one.
And you couldn't take that jar back from Afro Man.
Man, he had the chalice. He's got the chalice.
Yeah.
The underneath it's got a lid to go in a mason jar.
Oh my
So
God,
he's got
that's
the mason
so
jar of weed,
fun.
like.
That's brilliant.
Oh, he's the coolest. Like I said, I was geeking out. My wife's like,
Shout
if I
out
hear
Afro Man.
My wife's like, if I hear Afro Man one more time, you're gonna sleep on the couch because, I used to listen to Selling Your Dope and all this, his old
Colt
albums.
45,
Yeah, that's
Colt
cute.
45, like, anybody listening, like Afro Man was the original guys, rapping
The
about
weed
cannabis.
guy.
Yeah.
Red Man and Afro Man, I would say. Yeah.
Come on, they were so good. And so
Be real.
the dough, when we got licensed, we're like, okay, we're gonna do some crossing, do a pheno hunt. Let's just make a really fun first grow. And so my best friend's Brent, he does Function Genetics. Brent bred the lava cake, which is a Canorado genetic, with Samoa, and Samoa consists of. See what I mean? I get so high. Samoa consists of forum cut face-off Kush and thin mint cookies again. And
You fuck with the Thin Mint cookies.
big time. I love the thin mint. So
I love
because
the Thin Mint.
because it had twice that thin mint cookies, this strain we called the dough. Right? It was like a cookie dough. We're like, we got to call it something hype and represent all the thin mint cookies in it. So we called it the dough, and it came out at. Our pheno hunt was awesome. The first one we did. I ended up finding 3 that I really liked.
What was the third?
So there was. First time we ever did this, I got 2 cuts that we did. Brent gave me one that was this beautiful, like perfectly structured physical plant. It was so good. That's actually this one here, this pheno. And we used to call it the version A. He gave me another one, was this short, weird, 3-fingered, leaf. It was all twisted up. And so I was learning about phenos at the time, and I'm like, what do you mean they came from the same mom and dad? Why are they so different? And then I realized that, you ever see that movie Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? One got all the good genetics, the other one didn't. So I used to call that one the Danny, and this one was the Arnold, right? And so that's what we ran with. I ran with this. So when we did our other pheno hunt, we did a big one just to see, like, the A was so good, but
We got the Ani.
oh,
The dough is the Ani.
I thought, well, let's find something else. Maybe, you might top it. And so I had found version I. We did version A to Z. Version I came back at 19% THC, 3.8% terps, twice the weight of all the other plants. It was a cherry,
Chunky.
like a real cherry cola smell. Like it was so nice.
We love
But
cherry.
I got rid of the mum because at the time, provincial distributors weren't even considering anything 20 and under.
I know, they're nuts.
Oh, you got 4%
It's not
terp?
about fucking THC, guys. It's about the terpenes.
They were like, oh, you got 4% terps? Yeah, who cares? It's 19%. Next,
Yeah.
what else do you got? And
That's
so it
so
just
silly.
It just didn't make sense for us to keep it. Now I'm like, why? Because it was some of the best smoke I've ever had. And I'm like, why? We should have just kept the mum anyways. But again, why are you
You
going to
learn.
keep it? It's farming. You're not going to keep a cow that's not producing. I'm sorry. Like, it sounds cruel and everything, but that's how farmers operate. They can't afford.
Yeah, that
Farmers
makes
don't make a lot of
sense.
money. So they can't afford to keep livestock that's not doing anything for them. So not that I
Yeah,
agree
you
with
gotta
it,
make
but
those decisions for sure.
but it was the same thing with the I. I just couldn't keep it.
Ugh.
So we ended up with the A, and it came back at like 26. I had done 2 batches, a 25, a 26 percent THC, 3% terp, myrcene limonene dominant, and it's just such a nice combination of the mom and dad, the lava cake and the Samoas. And so it's got a real special place for me because it's that myrcene is like someone's holding your hand on the first day of school.
Peppery.
Very nice. It's got a very cakey thing to it because of that cookies. But the limonene is so uplifting. So if I'm going to be doing some creativity today, that's the one that I'm going with.
That's yeah. I like fucking like rhyming and recording on this. Like, I will do that.
Yeah. So,
I think the lava's got us all.
I'm high as fuck.
well,
This is
that's good
awesome.
news. If you are we.
I mean, I'm chilling. I had this sentient.
Ellevan has a hard time saying
Goodbye.
adios. Yeah.
Because I had this sentient moment when we were just talking, and I was like, we were all looking forward to this so much, and now it's almost, it's like,
almost done?
It's on the other side
It's
of-
definitely on the other side of having its complete expression.
Yeah.
At least for the first time.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to
Yeah.
keep updating. That's
Yeah.
basically, I need to land there because I'm really enjoying when we're just flowing through as consciousness, observing reality together. That's a really nice thing. We'll have to do this again.
Yeah, and I'm a local guy. I'm just in Guelph, Ontario, like Aaron. So I'll come out anytime.
Excellent.
Appreciate that.
I tell all my local plugs. I literally, like I said, we launched on Monday. I decided I got to hit up all my hometowns first.
Retail tour.
That's it. I tell everybody, like when I walk in, they're like, "Oh, great, another
rep.
Yeah.
another rep."
With
And
a fucking frisbee.
oh, yeah, with a fucking frisbee, right? So I gotta walk because I walk in, I'll wear.
You get Wallace
Yeah.
with a briefcase.
I come out with the briefcase, right? And as soon as I crack it open, people and
and doobie snacks.
I like telling people I'm the grower. Like Primo, I got to lead. Primo's my mom's maiden name. We're not corporate. We're independent. I grow 15, 20 minutes away from you guys. Like, we're the closest ones to you. And then as soon as I get past that wall where it's like, oh, you're not a corporate rep, just here to like push something.
Yes.
I'm just here to like make connections and, and hey, if in the end of the day you're going to buy some lava in the dough, great, because it's excellent products. You're going to have customers coming back. But more importantly, I'm grassroots. I do all the farmers markets in town. Look at Wolverine
Do you
here.
ever
Okay.
pull the Wolverine on them? Just pull up and be like, bam, and just let them each take one?
Man, I'm going to do that.
Do the candlelight, mantle candlelight. Get them each to light their own and then
the
take it.
candelabra, just lighted them all up.
Okay, so Ontario, go to your local dispensary
Get that
and
Primo.
ask for Primo, and if they don't have it, request that they bring it in.
Yeah, it's
Let's
delicious.
get this shit popping.
This lava cake has been my go-to, and yeah, I constantly want it in rotation.
Yeah, and where else do we find you?
Yeah. On the
We
gram.
just did a submission with SQDC, so we'll be coming into Quebec.
Nice.
In fact,
Nice.
the only reason we even broke through that fifth wall was my wife's a French immersion teacher. So if, it's a good thing she studied French because,
Nice.
it's hard to get in there. If you're not speaking French right off the hop, they're just going to maybe push you aside. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. If you're not speaking Francophone, you're done. You're cooked.
No way.
Yeah.
You need a French
Shout out
plug
Katya.
rep.
And I'll be straight up. I called them, and then as soon as I was like, "Oh no, parlez français," they just like it went dead. And then my
Yeah.
wife called it. It was great. And then after that, it's like all the documents are English. But
Oh,
as long as you
man.
show respect, then
What?
Wow,
What
wow,
a mob.
wowza.
What a mafia. What a mafia mentality.
That's good to know.
Just a
You
fucking
just
brick
gave
wall.
such good intel.
Thank you.
Find someone who speaks French.
Hey, even for the first 5-minute phone call, find someone who speaks French because they'll get your foot in the door with them.
Oh, that's so good to know. Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
we may not be launching with them after this.
No, they're, come on. They
We
gotta
can
love
blank it out.
You know what? To be honest, though, my whole thing is because we're local and we're small enough, I could survive off just OCS in our local neighborhood, right? So that's the whole thing. Smoke local, grow local, and be local.
I love that, man. Is there any final words you'd like to give to anyone wherever they are on their life journey?
Yeah, it's funny, the disciplined stoners. But to my wife, she'll tell you, she'll back everybody up on this. I always call you guys the discipled stoners. Because every time I listen to you guys, I swear to God, I'll be working, I'm doing my thing, I'm in my zone. And sometimes, when you're farming, you're doing this industry, get used to your shadow. Like your shadow is your only friend. You're here by yourself a lot of the times. And so I'll tune on when I see the live, I come on. And I call you guys the discipled stoners because I honestly, and when I listen to it after, I'm like, that's right. And I always leave on a higher plane.
Yes!
So, yeah, maybe we got to change it to the discipled stoners, but I like the disciplined stoners. I'm just super happy you guys invited me out. Like I said, this is my first time doing a pod like this. I'm a grower. I'm comfortable in the grow room, but I just got a mad respect and love for you both.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you so much. Your check is in the mail.
Hey, for anybody who doesn't know, go on to Prime Video and look up Christmas by Chance because Winny and Ralphie are in that movie, and it's cool as hell.
Ellevan might make a little cameo as
Brief
well.
Cameo. I get an upgraded extra roll.
Well, were you there when you were skating around the Christmas tree?
No.
No, he did decide though because he was Ralph's handler. He did decide to creepily stare for my kissing scene at the end of the movie in a corner. So I just saw like half of his face as I was going in to kiss my scene partners. It's the first time I've called it out, so we might have to talk that out afterwards.
No,
but,
for sure. No, I love that. I can definitely own that. I'm like,
it was 3 years ago.
I thought I was strong enough.
Like it's been 3 years.
Since she shot that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then since I made that decision. But yeah.
He didn't talk to me in the Uber ride home.
In hindsight, I didn't emotionally process that very well. But it was a cool challenge.
And I think you said something along the lines of like, you're gross, or like.
All right, slow down. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Oh, that felt cathartic.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm sorry I brought up the movie.
Yeah. Fuck that movie. Just kidding. No, it was a great movie. No, that was me testing my will. I'm like, I can look at this as art, and then it's like, that's someone kissing your wife. No, don't think of it like that. It's art. And you're like, oh, this sucks. And then it's like, let's do that one more time. And then that's like 10 times you hear that, and you're just like the love
You're
of my
torturing
life
yourself.
is sucking face with someone else. And I don't know why I put myself through that. And it was like, I thought I was better than this. I thought I was stronger than this.
It's okay.
No, but thank you for putting me on blast about it with our friend. We all got to be honest and vulnerable.
Go check out Primeau on Instagram. Get them in your local store.
That's
Subscribe
for sure.
to our channel. Comment, like. I don't know. Do those things for us. It helps. Please.
Yeah, share this with a friend and get real high and share stories, just like we just did.
Yeah. And be light. From Mama Brenda.
Lightning. Bless Mama Brenda. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey.
Smoke weed every day.
Yeah!
That's so epic that like that is a thing. That must feel so epic to make a song.
Disciplined stoners. What's your discipline? You a stoner? That's cool. So are we.
I'm high a lot. It's weird to finally say that with pride. I'm high a lot. Being high has helped me with my anxiety. It's helped my social skills. Well, it's helped me feel okay about my shitty social skills. It doesn't make my social skills better, but it sure does make sitting in that awkward moment in a social interaction a lot more bearable. You know, that moment where no one in the group has anything left to say, and you desperately want to yell at all of them, just say something. Being high makes that hilarious and not torture.
Yo, it's Ellevan from Anger Town. These plants just helped me chill out. Found focus, found confidence. All of a sudden I was productive, less protective, more progressive. Yeah, we talk about stuff like I'm a next sommelier, but this is about a medicine, baby. We wish everyone a mindful life. It's been a helpful tool for us. Whatever the route to peace, it's each individual's journey. And the more we communicate, maybe we can all help each other out. Love and light. Welcome to Disciplined Stoners Podcast with your host Ellevan.
And my name is Winny.
And we are the gateway drug to mindfulness. And that's Ralph. Bro, what you know about it? Couple levels up when I move and I go.
One day we're gonna do a collage of all the times like a brilliant person just said like it's medicine.
Cannabis is a gift from Mother Earth.
Cannabis helped to heal me. Those natural medicines that we use to help to heal us. And of course, they have this euphoric effect, or can.
It's an alternate natural way of healing. And I just think it's so beneficial, and there's so many good properties to weed.
I mean, that's the only difference in my life is I've added cannabis. The amount I've changed and the way our family has evolved and our relationships with my adult sons and everything, like just all through cannabis it's been amazing.
It's part of my life. Like you said, you really can't separate me and the cannabis plant. I use it medically.
Yes.
I have fibromyalgia, diagnosed with fibro very, very young, and I use cannabis to treat my fibro very effectively.
It was through an event that caused her major anxiety that I got her to take a few puffs.
Yeah.
And it helped.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, from being up here to being able to cope.
You know, we've got naturopathic medicine and natural health products that rely on hundreds of years of traditional use.
Yes.
Which, you know, both cannabis and mushrooms technically fall under.
Yes.
If you can keep it at that sweet spot and it's in a healthy way, I feel like that's
It's medicine.
Yeah, I think
it's medicine.
you have to like check in with your life and be like,
medicinal.
It felt like it complemented my personality.
Yeah.
Almost.
Good answer.
It's okay to use cannabis as their medicine. Mm-hmm. They no longer deserve to be in classrooms and hear that they're using drugs and they're bad, when this is medicine that is saving their lives.
Yes.
I mean, I would never put anything on the market that I wouldn't give to my mom or my grandfather.
Those strains are fantastic for pain management, nausea. This helps with pain management.
And I feel fantastic. Like I feel great. Do I attribute it to cannabis and cannabis oil? Absolutely, I do.
Relationship to cannabis right now is beautiful, growing, most probably everlasting.
I think this is medicine.
Dude.
120%.
I've got ADD, and I'd use cannabis to help kind of focus me in and kind of turn things off. Like, it very much is medicine.
It was medicinal for me. It was like taking a medicine because that's how it worked.
Be out in the woods, and it would be identifying trees and learning sustainability. And so at that time, I started realizing that, you know, there's a lot of things that are happening in our world that are not sustainable. And you get into like, you know, the time when Al Gore was coming out with global warming. And so there was all these things that kind of, I got introduced, my nature, we all had nature names, you know, so my nature name was Lightning.
Lightning!
Lightning.